Howdy there, folks. I'm Quinn of SnazzyLabs, and this is Ask Snazzy, episode 0000001. Now, many of you that have watched know that I have done question and answers in the past. I'm starting this new Ask Snazzy series because it's something quite popular amongst large YouTubers. I'm not large yet, but one day I will be strong and I will be... Yeah, let's get started. What shocked you most about America since you've come back? You know, the fact that I've been here for 3.5 weeks, I really am kind of accustomed once again to the United States, and I don't really know what shocked me the most. I mean, everything was breathtaking, overwhelming. The technology was crazy. But something that I really like, it's not the most overwhelming or shocking, but something that I like is the design of cars. I don't know if you've looked, but in the last 2 to 3 years, cars look really awesome, really aggressive. Look at the new Jeep Cherokee, the new Range Rover, even basic cars like the Ford Focus and the Ford Fusion. They look really aggressive. Everyone's taking this kind of Aston Martin grill that I'm sure those guys aren't very happy about. But I mean, there's just really cool looking cars, and that's something that I really liked. I'm not a huge car buff, but I do like them, and I just think that the cars look way cooler now than they did even 2 years ago. Why did you choose a Macpro over a Hackintosh? There's really 2 reasons. For those of you that know me, you know that I wanted to buy a Hackintosh, and the reason I didn't in the end was that it just wasn't very practical. I mean, the problem with Hackintoshes is it's a bunch of hardware that you throw together, so there's driver and compatibility problems. It's not very reliable. Sometimes they crash. The Bluetooth doesn't work. It's spotty. The equipment's kind of weird. You can't do software updates. I mean, even though it's awesome to build a computer for cheap and make it a Mac, it just isn't practical in the long time for sustainability. I mean, sometimes they release software updates and you just can't use that hardware anymore. You're just stuck on an old system forever. And so it's just, I mean, that was kind of my problem. And the other reason is it's just really sexy. So ease of use and because the Mac Pro is awesome. How did you get on with the camera you took to Bolivia? I'm assuming this guy is an American. I did really well with this camera. I have to say that the Fujifilm X10 is an amazingly impressive camera. This thing has held up. It still takes pictures, barely, but it still takes pictures. I have dropped this camera 2 or 3 times from 4 feet. It's fallen onto a cement floor from my desk. I've spilled Coke into the lens and into the flash. It's been beaten and thrown against stuff. I mean, it just has been battered. I dropped it in sand once. And it's not because I was careless, although I admittedly wasn't very careful. Rather because I just walked around all day long. I was always walking, always, talking. And so it got pretty trashed. But it still takes marvelous photos. The lens is not scratched at all. The body is a little bit more rickety. I mean, this is a beautiful metal casing, but it's like a little bit rickety now. The flash, as I said, I spilled Coke into it months, even years, 2 years later. It still doesn't open. I mean, it does, but on some days. Some days the flash opens and some days it doesn't. The screen is kind of like detached from part of the body. It's totally beat up in terms of paint. The paint is all taken off around here, the sides. It looks now like a genuinely vintage or authentic camera because it's just been trashed. But it still takes marvelous photos. I love this camera to death. I still actually take it around with me as my daily shooter because my GH4, not only is it really expensive, but it just isn't a practical everyday camera. But I don't really like the results that my cell phone gives me. So I do take this around with me still, and it works great. And that is, well, my camera. Who inspired you to start making videos? This is a good question. As many of you know, actually this week, we come upon 5.5 years of SnazzyLabs. That is a long time, almost 6 years doing these YouTube videos. And yes, I was inspired. It wasn't just overnight that I decided to do them. It's me Morpheus, Carlos Aquino. He no longer does videos. He hasn't put one up in probably 3 years. But he just reviewed iPhone cases, and he inspired me to really start videos. And that's what kind of got me going. And if you look around at a lot of other YouTubers, they've started early, but not as early as I was. I'm not like a pioneer. I mean, there's several guys from Noah from Phone Dog and John from Techno Buffalo have been doing it longer than I have. But I started back in December of 2008. I mean, that is a long time ago that I've been doing these videos. But yeah, Carlos Aquino was the guy who inspired me. I've told my YouTube story a couple of times in other locations, and many of you already know, but I thought YouTube was for nerds. I was like, I'm never getting on that stupid website. It looks so boring. I mean, who wants to watch cat videos? One day I had my iPhone 3G, which I liked. I wasn't super geeky over it. I really liked the phone, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, and look, it has this chip and all this amount of RAM. I didn't care. I just used the phone like a normal kid. And I came across, well, I started looking for cases on the internet because my iPhone 3G was just getting destroyed and battered. The original iPhone was really resilient to scratches, to drops. The iPhone 3G was not. So I got onto YouTube. I did a Google search for iPhone case, and one of his videos came up. And I looked at him, and I was mocking him for like half an hour. I was like, what loser watches these videos? Like, who wants to watch a 10-minute video on a stupid iPhone case? And I started watching another video and then another. I'm like, this is kind of strangely addicting. I became a big fan of Carlos. I subscribed to him. And about a month later, I started making my own videos. My very first video was the Bose in-ear headphones review. It is awful. If you haven't seen it, click the annotation in the window right now. You will love it. It is terrible. I don't even know how people subscribed to me back in those days, especially not now. What car do you drive? Well, right now I'm driving a car that isn't mine. No, I didn't steal it. It's borrowed. But I'm actually on the search, on the hunt for a new car. If you guys have suggestions, leave them in the comments below. As you guys know, I had my Subaru Impreza that I loved. And I'm trying to move to a smaller but sportier vehicle. I can spend about 20 grand on one. I'm not looking for one new. I'm looking for one that's already depreciated by 2 or 3 years in value. So, I mean, I'm just kind of looking around. I do need all-wheel drive because I'm here in a really snowy and icy city, and two-wheel drive just doesn't handle it. Front-wheel drive is sometimes okay, but it's not ideal. The two cars I've been looking at in particular are the Ford Focus ST3, and I'm also looking at the Volkswagen Golf GTI. Anyway, if you have suggestions, leave them in the comments below. I'm looking to spend about 20 grand, up to 20 grand on a car that is from 2011 to right now. What's the best sounding earphones for, say, $100, maybe even $50? Now, this is just one of tons of headphone questions that I got on the Ask Snazzy polls, which were taken on Twitter, on Facebook, on Google+. And, you know, the question is, well, it's not a question. The answer is headphonemecca.com. For those of you that have heard of Headphone Mecca, it's my website that talks about headphone recommendations. You know, I haven't listened to a ton of new headphones, but the headphones that I have seen have not really taken my eye. I mean, there are really cool headphones, don't get me wrong, but I'm still kind of satisfied with what I have on that site. Now, be aware that headphonemecca.com is going under a huge redesign this summer. It's going to be an amazing site when the fall comes. We're going to work on it really hard. Let's just say it's going to totally change the way you pick a pair of headphones. And it's not going to be this niche kind of weird website. It's going to be something that we want to get to everyone, to the whole world. It's going to analyze your music. It's going to do a quiz, a survey based on your music types, on your budget, on your style. So it can really use an algorithmic method to find the best pair of headphones for you. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be a beautiful website. And I'm stoked. So just stick around for Headphone Mecca 2.0 in the next couple of months. Are you planning to make another entire YouTube channel in Spanish or just a few reviews in Spanish? This is something that I'm also currently working on, and I honestly am not sure. I have a name, I have a website, Bigotech, por bigote, porque en Bolivia bigote significa chévere, y también porque tecnología, Bigotech. No sé, me gusta. So that's my name, Bigotech, that I'm not really sure if I'm going to make a channel out of it yet. I do have the desires to do it. If I go to this more cinematic style that I'm trying, and I bought a ton of new equipment. A lot of you were complaining about shaky pans and bad lighting. I'm learning. I mean, I asked for your patience, but I bought new lights. I've bought a slider. I bought a Manfrotto fluid head. So I have a lot of good equipment that's coming in so I can make these more cinematic style videos. And I hope to do these videos, not just the voiceover in English, but also in Spanish. And so I will have, if I do decide to do that, I will be going with a separate channel. I'm not going to put Spanish videos on here to spam up your feed if you're only a gringo. So there you go. What's your relationship with spelling bees? You know, in elementary school, everyone thought she was so cute, but I was never into her. Which iPhone is your favorite? This is a kind of a subjective question. If you're talking about favorite in terms of technology, it would be the 5S. I mean, it's an amazing phone. But if we're talking about raw, like the history of Apple, what was my favorite to own personally, it was this one, without a doubt. The original iPhone. I bought this one. I have another one just for a collector's item because my original one is super beat up. This one's not in very good shape either, but it is in better shape. It's just the iPhone 2G just revolutionized everything. Even looking at this today, I mean, this is a really light phone. It is thin. It's a glass touchscreen. I mean, this was just, even now, I mean, it's a good phone. It's better than all the feature phones and free on contract phones that you can get. It's better than the Windows phone. It's not, but it's really good. And to think that this was now 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that is wild. That's wild. I mean, it's just insane to think that 7 years ago, Apple came out with this phone when everyone else was in their little trio with their capacitive crap touchscreen, stylus garbage, BlackBerry. Awful. This thing changed everything. And so that's why I like the original iPhone, and that's why I have 2 of them. It's because it's just an amazing piece of history. They are awesome. It's by far my favorite my favorite iPhone in terms of pure history. And because of nostalgia. I mean, this was the first real phone that I had. Before this phone, I had a Motorola Razr. And so moving from a Razr to this phone was like day and night. And I loved this phone to death. I paid $599 for my first iPhone. Can you believe that? Do you think the iPhone 6 will come equipped with a Sapphire screen? Absolutely. I have a source who is really reliable. I mean, so reliable that I can't disclose anything because he would get fired. It's just bad. So let me tell you, yes, there is definitely a Sapphire crystallized screen coming to the iPhone, and the objective is to create basically a bulletproof screen in the sense that you drop it, it won't break, it won't scratch, like the face of Rolex watches. That's coming to the iPhone. You watch, you'll see. What happened to you using the word stellar? I liked that word. That's a stellar question. Wait, what? Are you married? Before buying your next-gen console, did you ever consider trying PC gaming? Just curious on your thoughts. Well, the air conditioning just came on, so I hope you're not really looking for good quality audio. I did consider PC gaming. I honestly did. The thing is, I just don't like it. I've tried it, and it just is, I don't know why. I'm a very casual gamer. I'm not the guy that sits down on his computer and plays video games for hours on end. I can maybe play 1 to 2 hours a week. I'm not a big gamer. But when I do play video games, I like to just relax. I do it because I'm home, there's nothing to do, or I'm stressed out, school, finals. And so I don't want to be hovered over a computer like, no, I just want to be on my couch. I want to put my feet up. I want to hold a controller. I don't care if the controls are inferior. I'm playing for fun, not because I want to be #1 ranked in the country. I don't care. So that's why I bought the PlayStation 4, and that's why I've always done console gaming. I've tried the lean over the keyboard and the mouse, and I just don't find it fun. I don't want video games to be in a chair with my headset here. I will beat you. You guys suck. No, I mean, that's boring. Video games are supposed to be fun. So I just get on my couch, I put my feet up, I get my controller, and I play for an hour once a week, and then once I've played, I'm just done. I'm a very casual gamer. But that being said, I do like video games. That's why I bought my PlayStation 4. I'm not satisfied with Angry Birds and the games that are currently on the iOS devices and Android devices. Although I will say that iOS 8 looks amazing with their new metal development. It'll be awesome. What tech device that was released when you were gone put an awe to your face when you came back? You know, believe it or not, I think it was the iPad mini Retina. When I went on my mission 2 years ago, there was no iPad mini at all. When the iPad mini came out, I thought, oh, this is a perfect device. Because I always liked carrying around my MacBook Air. My MacBook Air is my companion. At the university, I cannot do with just a tablet. I can't type fast enough on the iPad. It just is not a comfortable experience. I feel limited. Whereas with the MacBook Air, it's awesome. But at the same time, the MacBook Air and the iPhone, I always felt like I needed that middle ground. I needed an iPad. And I don't think that the iPad was designed to replace either one of these. I think that really they all are their own device. And I don't think either one, I don't think the iPad is made to replace the laptop. And I don't think the laptop still exists to replace the iPad. I don't think the iPhone is there to be inferior to the iPad. I think they're all cohesive. They're all like an experience that is necessary. That's why I have all of them, is because I want all of them, not just because I'm a tech nerd, but because I use each one for different applications. My iPhone I use for phone calls. I use for Twitter when I'm out and about. My MacBook I use for school. I use for writing. My iPad I use for email and for reading RSS feeds. I mean, there's just different applications for each one. So when I saw the iPad mini on the plane going from Sao Paulo, Brazil to New York, I was just amazed. I looked at that thing. There were two Asian girls in front of me that were doing homework on them. I think they were reading PDFs and defining words. And I was just like, without being creepy, right? Because I wanted to see, well, it was kind of creepy, but I wanted to see the iPad mini because, wow, that was cool. And it was even better to know that there was one sitting on my bed literally when I got home. And the iPad mini to this point has still been my favorite device. I mean, I have my Macpro, I have my monitors, I have my HTC One, which I love, by the way. I have my MacBook Air, but I just love my iPad mini. It is the perfect size. The full-size iPad was too big for my liking, but this one, oof, perfect. Well, folks, that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching this question and answer video. Ask Snazzy 0001. As always, please subscribe, like this video, and comment below based on stuff we talked about. The car, I need some car recommendations. If I said some stupid stuff that you think is imbecilistic, that's not a word, but I made it one, then please comment below. I'm more than willing to read your criticism and respond back in a sarcastic manner. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, rate, and comment. And as always, stay snazzy. See you later, folks.